In this final episode of Across Borders, Bangladesh and Myanmar. It's a beautiful region with an ugly problem. Despite centuries of cultural fluidity, a group of people now find themselves unwanted on either side of the border. I meet some of those who are suffering and one of the people accused of inciting hatred against them.
And that boy.
It's the most challenging of the border regions I've visited for this series. What can be done to give the people who live here a more peaceful life? A border is more than a line on a map. It provides national identity, but it also divides cultures and families. As a scholar, I'm fascinated by the regions where countries meet. They are so rich in shared history, culture, and even conflict, and some are facing major changes ahead. Come with me, Farish Noor, as I go across borders. I'm in a Bangladeshi beach town near the border with Myanmar. It's an area I've never visited before. Well, the locals say that this is the longest uninterrupted beach in the world. And so far, it seems reasonably unspoiled. And I hope it stays that way. At times, it's hard to know what country I'm in, although in a border region, that shouldn't surprise me. This is the Rohingyas Buddhist temple, first established more than 2,000 years ago. The Bodhi tree in the compound is said to be more than 1,000 years old. The temple still attracts people from across the region. This is a really old temple. And likewise, there are old mosques just across in Myanmar, which shows how religions and cultures have always been fluid and moving long before the creation of a border and these modern nation states that we now call Bangladesh and Myanmar. Downtown, the faces in the crowd clearly show the mix of ethnicities here. I look for a place known as the Burmese market. One of the vendors here says her family goes back 4 generations in Bangladesh. So, how often have you gone to Myanmar?
No.
Never? Why?
কারণ আমরা এই বাংলাদেশে থাকি তো বাংলাদেশি নাগরিক আর আমরা ওখানে গিয়ে আমরা ওখানে বার্মাস নাগরিক না
And do you consider yourself Bangladeshi?
আমরা এখানে বাংলাদেশে থাকি ভালো ভালো লাগে এইজন্য আমরা অল বাংলাদেশে থাকি বলে বাংলাদেশের নাগরিক হিসাবে ইয়া করি
But as I travel around this border region, it becomes clear that the welcome Mashin's family has received over the years has not been as warm for more recent arrivals. In 2012, just across the border in Myanmar's Rakhine state, violence erupted between Buddhists and Rohingyas who are Muslim. Dozens died and more than 100,000 people were displaced. Thousands of the stateless ethnic Rohingyas sought shelter in Bangladesh. Nice to meet you. One of them is Ali, as I'll call him. This 27-year-old fisherman fled the violence, leaving behind his wife and baby. He lives in a refugee camp but works outside driving a rickshaw. How has it affected you?
Bisha shandi lagge mane ki inti ibe mata tabal majede in neli to tarbase mai hinder mane no goriba deriya mane shoram jagate gas gala diye kulti ne ekota galoti ne le din dile da hai dikki.
So what's it like being stateless?
অশান্তি লাগার এটা বাংলাদেশেরও ন মানে বর্মারও ওই যেতে না পারি বাংলাদেশেরও হয় না পারি অশান্তি মিথ্যা লাগে দিয়ে এখন মানে
So what's life like in the camps?
না বেকুন বালা নমাজ দোয়া পড়ে মানে বেগুন যার ভিতরে তিন দিলা চলাফেরা করি মোড়া যা কিয়ে গাছ হাড়ে কিয়ে মানে মেড়ে হাড়ে ইন্দিলা ঘুরি খাওয়া দাওয়া করে দিয়ে কেমন মা চলাম মধ্যে রশিয়া চালাই বাদে মানে ইন্দিলা এরিয়া বাজা মানে হষ্টপিষ্ট করে চলাম দিয়ে এরিয়া দুগ্ধামা গরম রশিয়া চালাম
And this is where Ali lives. It's one of numerous unregistered camps that are home to about 500,000 displaced Rohingyas. They've been coming in waves for decades now. There are only 2 official camps with fewer than 30,000 people after the Bangladesh government stopped registering new arrivals. The country says it doesn't have the resources to handle any more refugees and that they belong in Myanmar. Some groups are trying to help out. RIB runs basic education and culture programs for children in the camps.
They're learning Bangla, so Bangladeshi flag, and they're learning Myanmarese, their own flag. This
Right.
is Myanmarese flag.
So you're teaching that that's their flag.
Yes.
All right. Are you happy with the conditions in the camps?
No. From humanitarian ground, it's really challenging to me because in such a small places, a huge crowd of people are living. Their sanitation, their hygienic, and their educations are not sufficient.
What are the chances of them being settled in Bangladesh?
No chance. From if you follow the Bangladesh government instruction, so I don't think so. They should be settled in Bangladesh. They should be back their homeland. Yeah, this is one of the initiatives of.
But what is their homeland and why are they stateless? Well, they weren't always.
Depending on the others organizations.
One of my prized possessions is an 18th century book with an engraving showing the former kingdom of Arakan. The people there included Buddhists and Muslims with a range of ethnic groups including Rohingyas. Arakan, which straddled both sides of the modern border, was conquered by Burma in 1784. Burma, in turn, was conquered by Britain and was considered part of British India until 1937, when a border was drawn. Independence in 1947 and 48 created an international border between Burma and East Pakistan, which, in 1971, became Bangladesh. And Burma became Myanmar in the 1980s. Rakhine State in modern Myanmar is still called Arakan by some. All the changes seem confusing, but an academic who has studied Rakhine's history and the Rohingya says there was regular cross-border movement and few problems until independence in the late 1940s.
The majority Muslim from Arakan, they demand a separate autonomous state, but the government of Myanmar fully denied it, or they never expect.
So that's when the crackdown began.
Yes.
And was there a turning point here when Bangladeshis turned against the Rohingyas?
There are many problems raised about food crisis, fishing, deforestation, competition, job market.
So the attitude has changed here
Yes,
as well.
yes.
And is there proof that the Rohingyas have been in Myanmar for a long time?
Sure, that it has many documents.
But that is not the popular view in Myanmar, where many consider Rohingyas to be new arrivals. The consequence is ongoing unrest. So I decide to travel to Myanmar to meet the controversial monk accused of making the suffering worse. I'm in Myanmar to explore the plight of stateless Rohingyas from Rakhine State, many of whom have fled across the border to neighboring Bangladesh. I can't get permission to enter Rakhine, so I decide instead to visit a monastery run by a controversial monk implicated in the crisis. His name is Wiratu, and he's accused of using his sermons to stir up violence against Rohingyas and other Muslims. His notoriety landed him on the cover of Time magazine. The monastery is a huge complex with more than 2,000 monks and novices, and it seems well funded.
Well, I'm about to meet the monk Viratu, and I've been told that he can be very charming and very persuasive. And to be honest, I'm a bit nervous myself. So let's see how it goes.
Wiratu was jailed under the former regime for inciting hatred. Since his release, he claims he's been working to protect Buddhism and Myanmar. And for him, that means trying to get the Muslim Rohingya to leave the country. For our interview, his team has more cameras than mine.
So in your opinion, where do the Rohingyas belong?
Rohingya ဆိုတာကလူမျိုးကိုမဟုတ်ဘူးသူတို့ဘာသာသူတို့ဘင်္ဂလီပေါ့ဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်ကမွတ်စလင်တွေရခိုင်ပြည်ခိုးဝင်လာတဲ့အခါမှာမြန်မာပြည်သားဖြစ်အောင်ရိုဟင်ဂျာဆိုတဲ့အမည်ပေးထားတာနော်တကယ်တော့သူတို့တွေကဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်နိုင်ငံသားစစ်တွေပါပဲ
Wiratu claims he's promoting peace, but he's happy to display photos of violence allegedly committed by Muslims in Myanmar and elsewhere. Most are too gruesome to show on TV.
and that body
This is in Rakhine.
the kind that body
This is Patani.
yes
Patani. And
Patani.
This is
Bangladesh
Bangladesh.
Kabza
It's been said by some that some of your statements may have contributed to this violence. So how do you feel about that?
ဗလာကြီးတဲ့ခွန်အားကြီးတဲ့လူတစ်ယောက်ကခွန်အားမရှိတဲ့လူတစ်ယောက်ကိုနှိပ်စက်ပြီးအနိုင်ကျင့်တဲ့အခါမှာအနိုင်ကျင့်ခံရတဲ့သူကတော့လောက်ကြပါဦးဗျာကဲကြပါဦးဗျာကျွန်တော်အနိုင်ကျင့်နေပါတယ်လို့အော်ဟစ်ပြီးတော့ငိုယိုပိုင်ခွင့်ရှိတယ်ပေါ့လွတ်လပ်စွာငိုယိုတောင်းပန်ခွင့်ရှိတယ်ငိုယိုပြီးတော့အော်ဟစ်ပြီးတော့ကူညီတောင်းခွင့်ရှိတယ်ဦးဇင်းရဲ့တရားတွေကအဲ့ဒီအဆင့်ပဲရှိပါသေးတယ်
I'm intrigued by his fascination with violence and what brought him to this point. He says that when he was young, one of his best friends was actually a Muslim.
If you were to meet him today, how would you explain to him what you've done? And what do you think he would think of what you've become?
တငယ်ချင်းဖြစ်လို့ပုံမှန်လင်းလင်းဆက်ဆံလာရင်တော့ဦးဇင်းတို့ကပုံကိုယ်ကြီးကိုဘေးချိတ်ထားပြီးတော့အလုပ်သဘောအရဆွေးနွေးရမှာ
Well, after having met Viratu, I'm not surprised by what I've heard, although I have to say I'm sad that I'm not surprised.
His followers, like the young monks here, think he's a hero, and I have to wonder about the consequences of their single-minded devotion.
This is what I study. I study religious institutions. And I've been to seminaries and monasteries and madrasas with 5,000, 7,000, 9,000 boys. And it's an entirely male environment. These boys will be here for weeks and months and years on end, and perhaps never even hear the voice of a woman.
Some religious leaders are prepared to speak out against Wiratu.
But how are you?
I'm very glad to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. But then,
At a much poorer monastery, I find an abbot who is not happy with what Wiratu is saying about Muslims.
But then, so they stay here as well. They live here and study here.
အခုဟာကဘယ်လိုလုပ်မလဲရင်မြတ်စွာဘုရားရဲ့ဟိုပေါ့လေဟိုကျင့်စဉ်ပေါ့လေမြတ်စွာဘုရားရဲ့ဒီဘာသာကြားတွေမှာထားတဲ့သဘောထားနဲ့တော့နည်းနည်းတော့ကွာဟနေတာပေါ့ဒီမြတ်စွာဘုရားကြတော့ဒီဘာသာကြားတွေအပေါ်မှာ ပြောရလို့ရှိရင်ဟိုကရုဏာကြီးမားပါတယ်ဒီဘာသာတရားကကရုဏာကြီးမားပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့သူတို့ကြတော့နည်းနည်းအမုန်းစကားတွေနည်းနည်းပြောတာတွေတယောက်နဲ့တယောက်မုန်းလာဖို့တွေနည်းနည်းပူများတာပေါ့အဲ့ဒါတွေရှိတာပေါ့အဲ့တော့အစွန်းရောက်တယ်ပြောမယ်ဆိုလဲပြောနိုင်တာပေါ့အဲ့လိုဖြစ်နေပါ
But even at this more moderate monastery, there are limits to open-mindedness.
To be frank, where do you think the Rohingyas should be?
သူတို့ကရိုဟင်ဂျာတွေကဟိုဘက်ဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်ကလာတာဆိုတော့သူတို့အတိုက်အုံမှာသူတို့နေအဆင်ပြေတာပေါ့ပို့ပြီးတော့လေဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့စကားလဲသူတို့ကအဲ့ဒီမှာပဲစကားတွေပဲနားပေါက်တယ်ကြားရတာတော့ဗမာစကားတောင်မတက်ဘူးလို့ခွေးရောအဲ့လိုကြားရတယ်ကြားတဲ့အခါကျတော့အကောင်းဆုံးအဆင်ပြေတာကတော့သူတို့အဲ့ဒီမှာဟိုဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်အစိုးရကလည်းကြီးကြီးပြူပြူနဲ့လက်ခံပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီလိုနေကြရင်တော့နည်းနည်းပိုကောင်းတာပေါ့အဲ့လိုတော့မြင်မိရတယ်
That night, I arranged to meet a Myanmar academic whose group is trying to promote interfaith dialogue. I do it discreetly in a room behind a shop.
Why is this happening now?
The first one is the lack of education, and the country has been in dark age for more than 16 years. The people listen to any extreme teaching of the religious leaders. Myanmar have many ethnic groups, and they should make a good multicultural policy. They should upgrade the education of the public, and they should stop hate speeches.
What's it like for you as a Muslim here in Myanmar?
As a Muslim, I feel sorry, but in this all violence, every community and everyone are the losers. They all lose. Some lose business, some lose house, and all are the losers, and no one getting any profit from this violence.
So both Muslims and Buddhists are suffering?
Yes.
In Mandalay, Buddhists and Muslims still mingle in everyday life, but the situation in Rakhine State is reportedly one of extreme alienation. And without citizenship, the Rohingyas are largely powerless.
And sadly, I've seen this before, of people who badly want to have a homeland, but no homeland wants them.
And I'm about to find out that some Rohingyas are taking drastic action.
This is the river that divides Bangladesh from Myanmar that's behind me. And it's picture perfect. It's so tranquil, which doesn't give a hint of the tension that lies in this border region.
The Rohingya people in Myanmar don't have citizenship. Many have fled violence there to Bangladesh, but Bangladesh says they belong in Myanmar. The scruffy border town of Teknaf has seen its share of ups and downs as relations between the two countries wax and wane. It's long been a place to smuggle goods, weapons, and people.
Right here used to be a major hotspot for illegal crossings between Myanmar and Bangladesh. And I've been made to understand it's still happening now.
But the real action these days is happening a short distance away, and it's not safe for us to film. Almost every night, boats are leaving for Malaysia and further afield to take Rohingyas to a new life. There's a booming trade in fake passports. Many Rohingyas have given up all hope that their lives will improve in Myanmar or Bangladesh. So what will happen next if Myanmar does not yield to pressure and accept Rohingyas as citizens? I reflect on the people I've met on this trip and what they want. Like Ali, the refugee from Myanmar.
Do you want to go back to Myanmar?
Nothing. Beguno bisal fatara hona kanole zaimdiria. Hona kanole marivela ye dugum manu arar bai wen fajeria marivela ye ara le duezun zaki gittam.
So, what's the solution for you?
মানে ব্যবসাদানি করি দোয়ানদারা করি এটা হাইওয়েলে দেশের থাকি মিলে এরিয়া বাংলাদেশের মানে বহুত ভালো লাগে আর গণমাত্র
Who knows if he'll get his wish? Experts want more powerful people to step up.
So, what is the solution?
I don't know the solution. It's very critical. You know that it has many things. There's many things to do for Myanmar government, and another thing is about Bangladesh and UN. So everybody has to take the responsibility to solve this problem.
As my journey draws to a close, I'm frustrated by a situation that seems to defy logic. How can a people who are from this region not be citizens of the countries that now share this region?
And so, if this issue is not resolved and it's not looking promising, then for me, it strikes me as an example of the tragedy of the modern nation state, where you have a border, you have two countries, and a people who are not accepted in either, and therefore they don't belong anywhere.
So I end up in a beautiful spot that's perhaps the most problematic of all the border regions I've visited for this series. I have the security of belonging to a country, but I won't forget those who aren't so lucky. And I plan to continue my travels and keep telling the stories of the people I meet as I go across borders.